I think we're back for some Q&A now.
Course, or you have big points, pop it in that chat. This is a segment where we address you guys and just kind of have fun.
Yeah.
Quickly before like all my regulars like go to bed, considering it's like 6 a.m. and
It's
and
answer
and
questions.
and 7 a.m. for most of them. Just want to thank all of you a lot for staying up. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. You just stay around or just go to bed because some of you have work, I believe, in 2 hours.
Yeah, we appreciate that, guys. That's rough.
Yeah, for all our EU listeners, watchers, really totally appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around.
Mike Stoyd, I can't say that name. My Talks, I think it is.
I
7
just
a.m.
call him
Holy
Meat.
crap.
We all call him Meat.
Meat? All right, meat.
Now Meat.
Meat. Meat.
Like
meat.
stop.
Meet.
But let's continue a little bit. What do you guys want to talk about that you didn't really get to get off your chest during the show?
I
I
think
have a lot, so
I was gonna say I think we can continue going down the community path. We can go down a bunch of paths.
Hey, well, somebody asked if you got brought up WoW in chat, and that was not why you were banned. I don't know exactly why, but unless you were given a reason, I don't know. But it was definitely not talking about WoW. We're not going to do that to you.
Yeah.
we love games.
Well,
We love all games, and Flatus and I can talk about WoW for hours.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna queue up a YouTube video of the beautiful PlanetSide 2 for our viewers to see who haven't played the game. You guys continue to talk for now.
Oh, okay. Going on community, I'm there's a streamer that I'm watching. It's a rank one glad in arena PvP for WoW, and he's the first person who has reached that level of gameplay in World of Warcraft. And he's nice and he's humble, and he's the only reason I can watch that him stream his games is because of that sort of attitude. And when I was talking about like directing the community and changing it, it's like we have to find these people and promote them. I mean, like this is the guy that you should be like, not these other guys, that trash talk, that put people down, but this guy who's humble about his skills and will answer any questions about PvP you want to know. And I'll write his name in chat.
Yeah, I completely agree. And especially everyone that's here. I'm not saying you're bad people, but I'm saying take a stand and make a difference in the games you play. I mean, that's the way communities change. It's don't think that like League of Legends has the most toxic community out there. It's well known. It's across the internet how bad their system is. Riot doesn't, really monitor it that well, and I'm pretty sure there's probably some League of Legend players, and it's very, it is highly competitive, but you could be super competitive and still be nice. I mean, there's trash talking, but then there's trash talking.
What I find really interesting about like League of Legends is that, to be honest though, they have like one of the largest like community management teams in the world, I think. Because I mean, if you look at the list, I can name like at least 10 or 11 people who specifically work on that in for that game alone, and I cannot do that for any online game. No, I cannot. But I had to think for a moment. But I mean, I don't think that's the solution, right? You cannot just throw more personnel and money at it. That's not how you do it.
Yeah. No,
I think it's tied to game design. I think that the community that plays the game and how they interact with each other is directly correlated with how the game is designed. If you design a game around high tension, frustration, the people who are playing it are going to be high tension and frustrated. You have to kind of design mechanics that kind of soothe everybody out and promote that kind of hand helping and things like that.
No,
I don't know how you do it. But
now, would you say look at top tier raid groups? They push their players
and they're dicks to each other. What are you talking about? Every raid I've ever been has yelled. The raid lead's like, "Screw you,
guys.
you suck." Like,
well, no.
I need to like correct you there. I mean,
I was gonna say, yeah, no, I've
I
finished.
hate to
Really?
like
Yeah.
burst your bubble, but I've been raiding 7 days a week, like
You have a good
in
group.
Vanguard, EverQuest 2, Rift, and like our guild is a family. We've been together for the last like 10 years. I didn't really want to name them by name because I didn't really want to label myself as like some elitist dick right away, because like chat raises a fair point, because that's how we raiders are generally viewed. I mean, that's again due to a lot of people being that way. But I mean, I'm part of a gaming community called Xanadu, who has been around in EQ2, Vanguard, and Rift, all with major rating branches. And in my opinion, every division I've been part of during my time I was there, we were actually more of a family guild with like raiders than raiders who would actually fight with each other over who gets what, outbid each other just to spend DKP and other
I
bullshit like that.
understand that, but I think that is not prevalent everywhere. I think, in my view, the majority of the rating experience and high tension gameplay like that, it doesn't foster that. You have a good community. PlanetSide 2, I play with Black Widow Company. They're fantastic. It's very strict, very military, but we have a lot of fun and we respect each other. But I should the player kind of have to rely on that guild or that kind of niche to have fun
There are
and enjoy?
just as many rotten family and casual guilds out there than that there are rotten raiding guilds out. I mean, I can point out quite a few raiding guilds that would exploit every chance they would get. They would get every extra opportunity to like get like a world first or whatever. But at the end of the day, that that also happens in family guilds or casual guilds where they try to
Yeah.
steal members from each other, where they
That's true.
run off with the entire guild bank. People almost get like threatened and stuff. Like,
Okay, I think I narrowed it down too much then when I targeted raid guilds. That was supposed to be like an example. I don't think rating's bad. But from the community standpoint, I think the game design part of it, you create a world that relies on cooperation. People are going to cooperate more. It's that simple.
And,
yeah,
and see there are guild leaders out there that shouldn't be guild leader, like not guild leaders, but raid
Oh my
leaders.
god, yes.
Yeah, but they're guild leaders too. But there are
That
raid.
seems to have experience.
Yeah, but there are people they like those guild leaders put people in charge that shouldn't be in charge of certain things. Like there are raid leaders out there. Like a good example. Who hasn't seen the video of the famous Onyxia DKP
More dots!
raid leader?
More dots!
More dots.
Someone
More
was saying that in
dots.
chat.
50
I-
DKP minus. That guy is an example of what of a bad raid leader and a bad community. Like
Was
why
that
would you
not-
ever want to play with that guy?
was that not like entirely fake? I'm one of those guys that like I played WoW, but I didn't play it that much because I went back to Vanguard as soon as I could. But was that really like?
Even even if it was fake, there have been plenty of other like it was on Twitch and it was months and months ago where there was a raid leader who was yelling at his raid, and the guy was streaming on Twitch and everybody saw it. Everybody saw it and everybody's like, "Why?" And then the chat blew up. They're like, "Why are you raiding with this guy? Leave that guild."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that guild ended up getting a bad rap, and everybody left that guild, and that's.
I mean, I've been in a situation when like the truth was spoken about the performance in a raid. I mean, if you like I say, if we raid 6 or 7 days a week, and we have this night where like no one is paying attention, and well, let's say 3 people are not paying attention, it spreads to 6, it spreads to 12, and before you know it, you're not making any progress, and you're just wiping for 4 hours in a row. I mean, as a raid leader, you kind of need to step up and do something. There is a limit to which you can take that, but I mean, you need to have ways to like motivate your raid, and that is not always with like flaming. Usually that is just like you do it in a company, right? Constructive feedback. Guys, this is what we're doing. Motivating your people, and that, in my opinion, is what like guild leading and raid leading is about. It's about.
Well, should the raid leader be the guild leader?
No.
I don't think it should be the same person.
Because-
I think there should be at
absolutely
least
not.
2 or 3 people at the top.
I mean, it is perfectly okay for someone to hate the raid leader, for example. But if that raid leader is also the guild leader, then it is very easy to just pack your things and leave. And that can break up a guild, because if someone with a lot of friends in the guild leaves, that creates a lot of tension.
Yeah.
I
So
know. I was in ground zero in a guild when that happened.
I think we've all been there at one point in time.
I know. I would love to talk about Storybrick some more. That thing just interests me.
Yeah, I think that's the future of gaming in general. That's cool. Okay, so emotional based AI. You give an NPC characteristics. Now it's not completely freeform. It's not taking in. You say, "Hello, my name's Tanlin." Of course, it'll be scripted to say, "Hey, Tanlin, I'm blah blah blah," but you give it possibilities to actually interact with the variables it has. You kind of create unique experiences. Games don't deliver on that. All games are scripted. I don't know a game that's not scripted. Why not let the game script itself? I don't know.
That would be cool, and that's what Felda was talking about. That person behind, kind of like writing what based on what the our us as a player do, and that's where I would love to see it go, because that's what D&D is, and that's why D&D, as old as it is, when people create these games, when they create something like EverQuest for the very first time, they want to mimic that feeling.
I mean, that's one improvement we saw with, Kunark for EQ2. You did those 400 quests, you did all the content, and at the end of it, the world wasn't changed. You hadn't done anything. Nothing changed.
Isn't that annoying?
I mean, at least with Velius, at the end of some of those quest lines, you had made some changes. And, WoW calls it phasing. But, having some kind of impact. And, if you need to, you can, let's say you have a long story quest. Well, if you blow up that section of the world, how are people going to go and do that quest? Well, you put a little teleporter thing they can use, and it time travel back, and they can do the old version of that area.
Yeah, that's true.
But you can't be afraid to make changes.
Yeah, and
I think that's a big thing, is MMOs have been afraid to make changes. It's a lot of work. Revamping a zone is a lot of work. So.
Yeah.
Well, a sandbox doesn't have to really rely on those tropes, though. Hopefully, an open world doesn't have to.
One thing we didn't really discuss, though. What are like the major concerns that we have with like player-generated content? Because I can name like 5 things that I will absolutely hate about the game that fully relies on that. And first of all, the first thing that got done when Neverwinter entered soft launch was there wasn't missions created, which is a bunch of mobs that you would kill over and over and over again. No story, no nothing, and to grind as fast as possible.
Token dungeons. Token grinding dungeons.
Yeah. And then you have the lore breaking quests where you kill a bunch of bronies or I don't know.
Bronies. Just kill a bunch of bronies.
It is okay. Maybe not the best example, but you know what I mean.
No, I gotcha.
So, those are like 2 really big things that are not like something that you cannot fix, but it's definitely something that could be an issue.
Well, should there be approval, or should anyone be able to post content? Because Player Studio, it has to go through approval. Yeah. They polish it up. They might even send it back and say, "Hey, you need to make this change, this change."
I was actually looking into Player Studio the other day, and I think the approval process is very strict, right? It
has to fit the lore. It has to look good. Yeah.
The way I would see that is like, at the moment, I think it's just for in-store items, right? But
yes.
What the next step for me would be, what if you could use these in your generated missions and stories? Because when I learned about the Foundry a few years back, which Mythic is doing, I was thinking like, what if we can like bring our own assets into the game, create our own like cool looking bosses, and just do stuff. Like I want to have I've been dreaming about like making raid bosses for years now, like designing them. Like, what if I could like make a unique looking boss, drop him somewhere, and just say like, I don't know, every 19 to 39 seconds you would cost this, And then if you have a framework like building spells, essentially, that would bring so much freedom and so much dynamics to your actual world, because not every mob would be the same, and also you wouldn't have to invest the time of your developers to like go over mobs and make them, essentially. But I think that's not what Storybricks is going to be doing, but that would be really nice.
I would like to see it, and I keep mentioning Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, but if you've ever played, and I mean, have any of you guys actually sat down and played and rolled some dice, pen and paper wise?
I have no friends around that.
I don't have any friends to do that either. They laugh at me.
Guys.
Felton, listen, guys.
Long time ago.
Listen. There's a program we can all log in. There's a program. We'll talk about it later. It's all internet based. Good stuff.
Someone asked a very good question in the chat, and I want to ask you guys this and get your take on it. And let me see if I can get the question. What happens if there are 10 players standing around one NPC? Does the NPC interact differently with all 10 players, or does it kind of take how does that happen to be true to a real non-player character?
How would a player respond? We would respond to all players. So why can't a character do that?
Right.
Well, no, if you're talking to somebody and they're doing a speech, they can direct a conversation to you. I can be like, hey, blah, 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 and I can talk to you, hey, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to say one message to address all of you.
What you want to prevent, though, is having to queue stuff like that.
True.
But in each player might be at a different stage of a quest, or they have a different faction. So, I mean, in EQ2, again, 10 people hailing an NPC can get 10 different results, and each person only sees their own conversation. Do you try to make that realistic? There's a point of realism where you're hampering gameplay.
Well, right, because I see it's too easy to exploit. Like if there is one character and he hates Dark Elves and he just absolutely will not open his mouth if there's a Dark Elf around, then some Dark Elf player is going to go stand next to him and just like grief everybody who wants to pick up that quest because he knows he won't offer it.
What if that NPC picks up a sword and stabs the player? That's what I'm talking about.
That would be good.
It's a faction. The EverQuest 1 had factions. You walk into the High Elf city, you better be able to kill a High Elf guard. It's going to take you down. I remember walking across Freeport, just walking across, minding my own business, and I was in the wrong faction. A guard saw me on a path, killed me, corpse run. I mean, if they can do that in 1999, I think they can do that today, and I think they can do that a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh, well. But no, going back to what you were saying, about NPCs and about the design and just like relegating content, like how do you actually see what's good, what's bad? Player Studio allows players to create the items in the game. That's fantastic. But it does go through that design approval. Why not keep that design approval? I don't think that a player should have to be able to build a prim like Second Life in the world and then mod something up. You can make system level abilities to modify and change the world, but you can still have it kind of built in with immersion. What if a player wants to build a castle wall? Well, they have a selection of different castle walls they can do, and they can combine it to make different stuff. But it can still be moderated. And you could monetize the player studio stuff. That could be a great monetization for people who want to expand their building. Say you want a wall that looks a little different. Well, a player made a wall. Well, I could pay that player and SOE to get that wall to add for my own liking. I mean, it doesn't affect the gameplay anyway. It's completely appearance as long as it's high quality. I think players can interact with NPCs, with the world, destruction, things like that. Okay.
Well, just when you right-click on an NPC, you should have a whole menu of stuff that you can make that NPC do.
I don't think you should have to right-click. Or do you mean in designing?
Designing.
Yeah, I agree
when I mentioned Player Studio, I didn't mean it in the technical aspect or the cost aspect. I just meant it that there's approval. They don't just let everything in. Okay, well, I don't know if you guys saw the Storybricks demo from a while ago, but if it's anything like that, the variables are controlled by the developers. So the developers have basically, they call it like a visual scripting language. You have your variables. It's like blah, 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 he likes this. So you can plug and play everything.
and then that creates the NPC. You might be able to create the appearance, but you're not going to be able to say, hey, this NPC should kill all dark elves right away. You can be like, here's all of the characteristics of that NPC, and then watch it interact with everything else to create your story. You can create a living world versus a static world.
So you can't, if you place an NPC, you can't do anything with it other than just let it go?
The story bricks thing, it didn't really allow that from the demo that I watched. It allowed for you to kind of make it to where you could tell a story, but not exactly tell one story. You can kind of set it up to where that NPC is unique, and you can set it up with other NPCs to where you want it to create a certain story. But it's still dynamic, and it still allows for a bunch of different possibilities. Then you don't have to worry about quality, then you don't have to worry about a lot of things, and players can still be like, hey, I built this whole town, and I built the storyline where orcs invade it, blah, blah, blah. And those orcs could be feuding for years and years to come over that town. The town could get destroyed, the civilians could rebuild it. But even though the story kind of stays the same in the long run, it could still give players unique interactions. It doesn't have to be that instance where the horde runs across the mountain, slams down a tower, you have to defeat the horde and knock them back. It could be real time, and it could actually develop over time.
Well, we don't know how much of
We
don't know how much they've changed story bricks beyond what the demo videos, because the demo videos are from over a year ago.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So that's not enough flexibility for me. It might be enough flexibility for a lot of other people. I want to be able to arrange the mobs and actually make them do different things. Not totally out of balance, but I'd like to be able to make some things happen. Kind of like laying out dominoes, and they fall in a certain sequence.
Okay, would you be okay with instancing that kind of content to where players can join stories, say they don't want to explore the big world, they could join these stories that players created, run like a DM with a bunch of other people that pop in the instance with you, but then players can also affect the real persistent world. Do you think that would be a problem, instancing something like that, or could it be a benefit?
Well, then that comes into, do people want to play instance content? Because that's the,
No. No.
But if they don't have to play the instance combat, I don't think it's bad. I mean,
Right.
Just make it like a side game, mini game.
Certain things for instancing, I can live with, but preferably not dungeons. I just want to go back to like names, placeholder, social. Not every mob spawn is linked. Actually having to split mobs. Can we please like get necromancers, monks, messing, lolling, that stuff back? I feel that we all lost that over time, and everyone like kind of forgot about it, and the new people never heard about it. But for some reason, over the years, it became normal that when you run through a dungeon, oh, there are 5 mobs. Let's just pull 5 mobs and AoE them down. That is not challenge. That is not like engaging. 2 mobs can be just as fun to kill as 5 mobs or 10 mobs, and this is where, for example, Star Wars Galaxies made like a major issue in my book, Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm sorry, too much Star Wars. Where they just like threw like millions of mobs at you to make you feel heroic. But at the end of the day, it does nothing for you. So why not make like more challenging mobs, more abilities, like where you actually like you pull 1, you can like with a group kill it easily. Pull 2, you have to be careful and someone might die. Pull 3 and you're in serious problem. And if you have a good group of people, you'll do. I mean, that is a lot better than other things. And I mean, I saw someone talk about leashing, and that is also fits right in there. I mean, a lot of mobs leash very, very easily these days, because like rangers scouting stuff around or druids scouting stuff around apparently isn't intended. But if I take 20 minutes with a ranger to run around in circles and to kill it with my auto attacks and one other ability and die nearly 3 times, why should that not be allowed?
I think that should be allowed.
Sure. I agree with that 100%. There's been actually forum threads of people posting, how far can they go doing content that they probably should be able to do, but they find ways to do it. And it's not exploiting, it's just, stretching an ability, using certain abilities, getting a healer.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to have this exact group to do content.
Content's too generic right now. That's the problem. You find the formula. That formula can't change because it takes a developer 3 months to make that formula, and then it's a very it's a very scripted event. That's the problem I think MMOs are in, and it's hard because that's an engine level design. You have to go into it from the ground up to be something open and something that's not strict. And I don't really know how EverQuest Next is going to be able to tell an immersive story other than let me live. I'd love to go into EverQuest Next with fear. Make me afraid of a mob, make me weak. Let me group together with players. Make that an exploration, make it like life. But fun.
That's a good point. What's the last time you guys were afraid in an online game?
Like,
seriously.
That was the last time I was afraid.
Like afraid of dying, like losing stuff, actually losing stuff, like death penalty. I mean,
yeah,
probably like EQ,
Daisy.
maybe Vanguard with like at launch where you would like drop your corpse and you would have to go back or find a rogue to drag you out. I mean.
Hey, Calbury, refresh my memory. When Vanguard first came out, there was no soulbound, and if you died, all of your gear stayed on your tombstone, and you had to go run and get it with no gear.
The way Vanguard originally worked was you would go in, you would die, your tombstone would drop, no one could loot your tombstone, but you had 20 hours to retrieve your tombstone. So you would fight 3 hours into a dungeon, you would wipe, and you would have to fight back in naked. Then what they did is you had a horse where you could store backup gear on. You would put your backup gear onto your character and then go back into the dungeon. Now in practice, this never really worked out because people didn't really do that. Now there were a few ways. You could resummon your tombstone to get your gear back. Or you could like ask a rogue, a monk, or whatever to go back in.
Yeah, I remember having my rogue friend. I would always tell him like, "Hey, I consented you my corpse. Could you drag my tombstone out for me?" Because he would just stealth through all the way through to where my tombstone was and drag it out for me.
Hey, real quick, I see Green Blaze keep mentioning Project 1999 and. It's EverQuest. It's just EverQuest, I think 1 or 2 expansions into the original EverQuest. Yeah, see, hell yeah. Here's my thing. You keep saying like, oh, that's available today in Project 1999, but here's the problem. It's a community-run server, and when that guy decides I don't want to do this any longer, it's gone. So I just want to put that. And my second thing is a lot of people were saying that they don't want their D&D in their MMO, and I would just like to say I wasn't talking about sitting there rolling dice, the slow pace of D&D. I was talking about the human aspect of the dungeon master, how that works, like having a game react as a dungeon master almost, reacting to the choices and the things you did in game.
Did y'all see that? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, I know Tamlin didn't, but did you guys see the leaked video from EverQuest Next? SOE took it down once it became known public, but it was basically an early sound test from 2011, but it showed out the graphics a little bit and some early animations. Of course, it's all speculative. It's a couple years later. Who the hell knows if it's anything similar? Seems EverCast Twitch, we might be banning people for posting URLs. You want to check Nightbot?
That's fixed. I unbanned him.
Oh, oops, sorry guys, you're unbanned. I thought that video was awesome though. I just wanted to see if you guys saw it at all.
No, it was posted by the sound engineer who actually did all the sounds for EQ2 and maybe some other games. He does all the Foley and like the fighting sounds of different NPCs. So that was interesting. I mean, it followed very closely the art design of the sketches that we saw 2 years ago. It was the concept art. So, and if you look around, you can find that video. But he found out that it wasn't supposed to be posted, and this was kind of early on
Yeah,
before
he probably
EQ
got his
Next was
turn
really.
talking to the next day, huh? He was probably getting smacked around a little bit.
Yeah,
It's the
someone
only
just
leak we've seen, though. That's
yeah,
pretty dang good.
someone just asked in channel if he kept his job after that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Who cares? It's really not that important. It didn't show anything. I
Yeah.
think it might be a little dated too because the combat, the animations were fast, so it looked like I think it was a paladin-looking character. He jumps up, spins down, slams
Yeah.
down. That's a very action-based move. That's not a click button attack. So, but at the same time, a lot of it seemed very still like Smack 1, Smack 2, Smack 3. So we might see. I'm sure it's improved a lot. I think it's pretty old. But it was cool. The concept art did match the ogre, or it was the orc. What was the other mob they showed?
Oh, the kobold looks different.
Well,
If we go by the painting,
okay,
it looks a little bit different.
The kobold looks different than the concept art. The concept art looked like an EverQuest 2 kobold.
Yeah.
I don't know. EverQuest 1 kobold, really, too, if you look at the EverQuest 1 kobolds in the new tutorial area and stuff.
I love the idea of the kobold as a playable race. Not just because it's a kobold, but let's not any race that exists in fantasy that we know about that's like we're familiar with that they're adding to as a player class that or a player race sounds like a really cool thing that they could do.
I want to see uniqueness in races and not just stats. Okay, they prove stats don't work. If one race has a bonus or the other, then that race is going to be chosen for certain qualities. But I want to see uniqueness in maybe their armor or their buildings. When a player that's a dark elf goes out and builds, maybe he has very dark elf looking buildings to build with, stuff like that. Or I'd love to see a return of multiple starting zones. I want to see a major city for every race, and I want to see those races start in those cities, or maybe have a choice of I can be a vagabond somewhere, but.
I would love multiple starting zones, but I've seen it go so bad with again Vanguard, where they had like I think
19
seven starting zones, but they were only like forced to launch with that. I think they had like 12 planned or something like that, and no one ever came there anymore until they got revamped, and they spent like months on a revamp that eventually no one played. I mean, it is such a risk. It is such a risk. I
think you need to
at the end of the day, it's an entry step for your game, and only a few players will be like playing it again. So once everyone goes through there, I think it should be different. We should get rid of zones that are tied to one level range or one progression range. Why not have content in every single area and for every single player? I mean, let's just get rid of like the entire curve of having to go from one zone to another. I mean, then you also have the aspect of like, well, I might not want to go to like that area at the moment because that has like some orcs that I currently will probably kick my ass. And then later you remember, oh wait, in that zone there were a bunch of orcs. Let's see what we can do over there.
What about making the game react to your? Let's say there are levels, but let's say levels, you know, that they're there in the game, and let's say if they made it so that there were, these the starting cities. If we went there, what's to say that if I go there at level 50, that the mobs, let's say if I pick up a quest in a different area, like a level 1 to 9, what would be considered a level 1 to 9 area, I pick up the quest, what's stopping them from making those mobs attuned to my level? You know, we're technology's here. We can do it. We have the ability. We can make the $6 million man. I think we can do it. And that'd be cool. It'd be a reason to go back there. It'd be a reason to, especially if you're a completionist for quests and you want a title or something from back there, that'd be kind of a cool way of doing it. And still creating content that is doable for your level.
As for Caden wants me to talk about Cube World, and the reason he wants me to talk about that is because Cube World doesn't really use caps. It just uses diminishing returns, which are very heavy diminishing returns, which essentially means that you're not necessarily like fighting at a level. Well, you have a level in that game, but you're not. Your level doesn't mean anything because it means more like how much points you've spent. And if you spent 4,000 points, that basically means that your points won't matter that much, but you will still slowly progress. Now, I'm not sure if that would actually work in an actual MMO, but it's an interesting point because if you make everything like have very strong, like first have like decent returns and then like have that like curve like go really like, I'm not sure if that shows on webcam, but something like this, then you essentially solve the issue of people having to be a certain level, right? Because everyone can then just work with each other.
Yeah, I agree. I jumped on your server, Cal.
You jumped on my server?
Yeah, I jumped on your Cube World server.
Oh, my Cube World server, yeah.
Yeah, and I jumped, and there was somebody near me that was like a bajillion, it was like level 1500 or something crazy like that. And I was like, I'm gonna go fight a mob. Oh, I am dying. I am dying badly.
The interesting thing about Cube World is that you spawn as like level 1.
Yep.
And you see a turtle or something like that, and you think, it's a turtle. I'm level 1. I spawn in this random procedurally generated world. Let's kill a turtle, and the turtle just kills you so easily. I mean, I miss that. I miss games where you are challenged,
the turtles kill you.
Where you are scared of mobs, and where you like occasionally die just because stuff is just too hard for you at this point.
I'm terrified of turtles and rabbits.
Terrified?
If you're in Cube World, they make a difference. I've died repetitively from flies, and it's sad to say that, but I have.
Here's
Yeah.
Spiders in MMOs. Every MMO I've ever played has had like spiders, giant spiders.
Yeah, this is the best thing. A friend of mine is like terrified of spiders. It doesn't matter if it's in movies or in games. And like we purposely bring her to all the spots in MMO where there are spiders, and she's on TeamSpeak and she just seriously flips out. It's just this thing we do with our guild. It's amazing.
It's a fantasy trope, you know. There's always the big spider that you have to like. Oh, you're in the web. Oh no. Oh no.
Okay. I love that. Sorry, I wasn't able to talk much. Things were going on, but I love that you guys were talking about going back about Cube World. Cube World, Minecraft, Second Life. What do they all have in common? They're simple and they allow you to do a hell of a lot in them for fun. Freedom. That's what an MMO should be about. I think that's what a sandbox is about, and that's what makes it fun. You have very limited ways to interact with the world in Cube World, yet it's still fun. Imagine opening up those ways to interact with the world. It's going to be even funner. Going back to Storybricks, voice acting is huge. We don't like to read anymore as a society, and in our games, we especially don't like to read. It's not immersive. It really isn't. How do you deliver dynamic content with Storybricks, but you make it exciting for a player to interact with? That's scaring me. I loved that EverQuest 2 is voice acted. I think more games should be, but it also shouldn't take away from. The problem is it costs money and it costs time, and it makes it so it has to be scripted. Did you guys see I guess it's the guy with the Kickstarter project? I sent it to you, Feldon, to look at. He's a big game designer. He's working on like a fantasy MMO / RPG kind of thing. It's not really an MMO, it's like an online RPG. But anyways, the early footage, you go up, you interact with an NPC, you type like EverQuest style. You're actually typing to the NPC. But it's cool because the NPC, it doesn't use keywords like right away. Like it takes what you say and then inputs it in its system and then sees what you can talk about with it. So the guy comes up, he's like, "Hey, how are you?" He goes into a tavern, he's like, "Do you have beer?" He's like, "Yeah, we just got a new draft. What have you been doing?" or something. And the guy's like, "Oh, I've been building a house." And then the NPC's like, "Oh, I really could use some furniture or something like that. Could you help us out?" The player could have said totally something different, could have been delivered a completely different quest or whatever, interaction with the NPC. I think we could expect to see something similar with Storybricks and EverQuest Next. If it could be on the next level, it could be very similar, but I'd hope to see that kind of interaction. It's like interacting with another player, and there's no player there.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, right?
I mean, actually, the biggest roadblock to voice acting is translation.
Yeah,
because it's not one language; they have to do it 5 times at least.
True.
I think very little people would agree with me, but forget about voice acting. Big waste of time. It costs like so much time and effort and resources to actually put them in, and at the end of the day, the majority of the people just spacebars through them. Star Wars: The Old Republic is a prime example of it. Why would a developer spend, well, in Star Wars' case, like millions on voice acting when that could go to actually making the game better, like actually better, instead of...
If there's going to be voice acting, I think that it has to be really limited, because I agree with you totally about Star Wars. I played through it, and the storyline is pretty good the first time through, but the second time through, you're just like, oh my god, get through this. I know what my options are. I know what I'm going to do. And it makes it so that the replayability isn't there.
True.
I mean, it probably has its place. I mean, there are places where cutscenes, preferably not cutscenes, but voiceovers would benefit a lot. But
I love.
I mean, I personally wouldn't mind just having text back. I probably wouldn't read all of it, but I would like read large portions of it.
I love voice acting in Raid Boss encounter with the emotes. My favorite encounter in WoW is the Blood Queen in the Ice Throne, where she's like, just a taste, and it's just it really adds to the experience. Like,
just that like, one little line of text sets the context.
Right, but
flavor text, yeah.
Right, there are multiple encounters that I could point to and be like, that voice acting for that emote is really cool and adds to the immersion, and you don't have to spend millions on getting it done for your whole storyline through the whole game. You just do it limited amount, but do it where it really adds to the encounter instead of makes it like its own separate thing.
I love that you brought up emotes because of SOE mode. I don't know if you guys have played EverQuest 2. You had to see the footage. Okay, yeah, maybe it didn't turn out well, but that's a groundbreaking idea. Being able to kind of Wii style interact with the game. I could, maybe in EverQuest Next, Georgeson said that the character models, they can really capture your face really well. Well, I could be sitting here, it could capture my eyes, my mouth. If I smile and I talk like I am now, I can hold a conversation with Tanlin like I'm looking at his face, except I could be in the world.
Do you want me to pull up the video of it? I've got...
Sure. I mean, you could cue it up. Yeah, that's no problem. People think it's corny, and it is corny, but I think that's just because it isn't in its best form. I think if you make it serious enough and make it good enough, a player might have fun. What if you could cast a spell by like shouting something? I don't know. That's not really fun. But there's ways to improve interaction. What if by talking, they could transcribe what you're saying? There's easy voice-to-text programs. What if you're talking in EverQuest Next like I am into my microphone? It's typing it out in the world while my character says it. What if that's how I interact with an NPC? What if an NPC comes up and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And the NPC talks to me directly like I'm talking. Sure, it's an option. It shouldn't be mandatory for everybody. But as SOE mode, they said to expect big things with EverQuest Next. EverQuest 2 is the testing grounds. It means we could experience some cool stuff like that. I want to see what the chat's saying actually about this. All right, let's watch the video real quick.
I was playing it while you were talking. It was going on in the background, and you were talking over it.
Someone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I thought that it would be cool. We talked about this before, and I enjoy role playing. I don't mind it, but I don't know if I am willing to take it to that level. I just don't know. But maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll try it and I'll really like it. But at this point in time, I'm very cautiously uncertain and not willing.
So Blinky5152 said SOE emote plus beard equals broken. You gotta think about that. Like the beard has come back into style as a facial hair thing. Like, you know, a lot of guys are promoting the beard, and that or the mustache if you're you're into that.
If you have glasses or any facial hair at all, it doesn't work. It totally breaks SOE mode if you have glasses or
that's in its limited form,
Wait,
right?
But is that like a finished state? Is that...
That's an EverQuest 2. Yeah, but that's an engine from
2004.
2. So that's old. That's very limited.
I mean, I think that with the current technology, that's no longer an issue, though.
Yeah. Well, but SOE mode is not from 2004. SOE mode is a toolkit that they bought and integrated into EverQuest 2. and it's I think fairly recent. I mean, it's
What,
facial recognition,
yeah, it is.
but it
They
just
could have
it
improved it.
breaks
True.
it just breaks down if you have facial hair or and one of the main reasons that they did SO emote. I mean, they did want to put it in for the role playing. They did want to put it in as a cool feature. But one of the reasons they put it in is because a lot of people have kind of signed off on EverQuest 2, and they wanted to get it back on the front page of the gaming websites.
Yeah, true. But
Which it did.
is revolutionary in a way. I mean, it does change the way we interact. It gives us more ways to interact with the virtual world. And I think that's what we're all moving towards. That's what virtual reality aims to do. That we play games to be in that world. The closer you can bring the player to being in that world, the better experience they can have. It's just how well you can do it.
Oculus Rift is a great example.
See,
It's amazing, yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
about to bring it up, and someone posted on Reddit where it was like you get the Oculus Rift and you get the treadmill thing.
Yeah, and you can move in the world. You can run, and your character runs. You look around, you explore it. How cool is that? Would you not do that?
Cool.
I would do it. I would sit down in front of my computer.
As foolish as it would make me look, I would be in my living room with this Oculus Rift on my head. I was like, yeah!
That with Forge-like graphics,
Well,
you count me in.
See, that's the thing. It's like, it sounds cool and all. It's like the first thing I did when I thought about when I got my 3-monitor setup was like, wow, I could play those racing games now, and I could have like the total experience of driving. Get one of those steering wheel, controllers, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even like racing games, but just knowing that I could made me want to try it.
Kind of a gimmick, yeah. I mean, it works as a gimmick, but it also does have the implications like Google Glass. I mean, that's what we're getting to a point where we can kind of immerse ourselves in technology to a point that's unnatural.
Yeah, you guys have seen the Google Glass video, right?
Which one?
Well, there's one of them. It's like a College Humor video of how dating is going to go when you have Google Glass. Because you meet a girl and she mentions something and you're like, Google, and then you say the search term and looks it up, and you start talking on this subject that she knows.
Yeah, that's a totally different subject.
Totally see that happening.
You're like, Google, take a picture.
How about during a podcast though, if you have no clue what people are talking about?
No, exactly. No, well, yeah, that's true.
You get cue cards right in your.
But then that
Yeah,
brings up authenticity in technology. Like, how authentic are you when you play an MMO?
We'd be streaming and someone mentions a game and I'll be like, oh, normally I was like, oh no, I'm sorry, man, I've never heard about that. And then like, oh wait, yeah, that game, yeah, that looks awesome.
It expands your knowledge, technically, not your actual knowledge, but knowledge available to you. It's kind of beneficial.
That is one of the things.
But it moves away from human interaction a little bit.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that technology has really changed about me is that right now, if someone asks me a question, if I have any doubt in my mind about the correct answer, like even though I think I know, I'll Google it. I'll make sure that I'm not wrong.
And that's a good thing. Why spread falsities or things like that? Why not be able to give the accurate truth?
It used to be, I wonder if, and you forget about it. Now it's Google.
Right. Wikipedia is my love. I love Wikipedia. There's something I want to read about, wormholes, whatever. I will spend a long time and probably won't learn too much about it, but I'll know more than I did before. It's an easy way to educate myself.
You get 10 pages deep and you're like, how did I get here?
Oh my God, what am I looking at? What are these formulas?
Right. Like you go to Wikipedia and you start reading about one thing, and because the link is just right there and it's so convenient, you click on it, and the next thing you know, you're reading about Leviathans and the demons in the Bible, and you're like, how did I get here?
And then you take that 1 minute, you're like, wait a minute, I could add to this. Well, now.
Yeah. True. User-generated content.
There you go.
But games are for entertainment. They're also for learning. I think we can all agree that we've learned things in our social interactions in video games. I hope if it's not, there has to be something. Maybe it's not really tangible. But I know that when I was growing up playing MMOs, that, in middle school was kind of stupid. There were a bunch of bullies, whatever. I didn't play with them. I played with my online friends. But I'm still a really social guy, and I like to talk. I like to hang out with people. The MMO kind of gave me that world to still be able to do it where I didn't feel as much pressure and kind of look up to those who I thought were older and more respectable to learn things. So I think games could do that too. So you increase the amount a person can actually interact with that game, the more they can learn, possibly. And then you're delivering an entertaining experience that I think we all can admit that when we watch a good movie that actually kind of twiddles our brain a little bit, it's a lot more enjoyable than going to see that action flick that has the amazing graphics. I mean, there's something kind of valuable about improving our knowledge and just kind of getting stumped a little bit when we experience entertainment. I'd love to see that in a game again.
I want to bring something up that someone raised in chat that actually it's a topic that I kind of enjoy talking about. What do you guys think about twinking and power leveling? Does it have a place in like an MMO? Should we like leave it alone and that be it? I mean, people feel that it should be something that shouldn't be allowed. Others don't really care. I'm more on the don't really care boat.
I'm okay with it.
I mean,
if it's your first time in there, I think no. I think you should experience the game the way it's intended to be experienced your first playthrough. If you're coming back second time around, maybe a bonus or something to like.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. I play a game for a year. A friend of mine joins. I know how much I struggled, and I want to just like play with him, right? Now, in today's MMOs, in order for me to play with him, I either roll a new character, which by most of them I've already done. I don't really feel like, or I could just help him along and get him to my point faster. I know my friends are like enough of gamers to catch up quickly, so. But essentially, I am screwing them out of content, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
I give them like I don't know, some rare low-level gear, and they just take everything away, basically. Now, if you would turn that to another perspective, if that gear that would make the game at early levels a lot easier would end up on a broker or an exchange, and people would easily be able to sell to buy that, like with their first character, then you're completely changing the dynamic of your game, like the difficulty curve of your game. And I think that is a problem that a lot of games are struggling with, because people enter the game like a few years after launch, like they are finally picking up on the game, or there's been a new marketing campaign. They join, they get like better gear than intended, although I'm guessing that's not really the right word. And they blast through the from 1 to 50, 80, whatever you want to call it, and then they come to the real game, and then they experience like, wait, now I need to get gear, and it's suddenly a lot harder, and then they quit again. That's not only a problem for us who enjoy the game and want more people to play, but it's also a problem for the people who make the game, because, I mean, you want people to stay, right?
Yeah. Well,
Also,
it's like high-level inflation, right? It's the race to end game. Would you guys say, okay, if EverQuest Next made it, there has to be a way to feel that you're achieving something. There has to be things you unlock. You get more powerful. That's what's fun. But I hate that a level 100 player can one-shot a level 1 player. Why? Is the interaction with the world that limited that you have to have someone so uberly powerful that they're like their own raid boss? And if you let a player get that way, shouldn't other players be able to kind of tackle it? Like, why should you have to grind 79 levels to have fun with other people? Why can't you guys be on equal footing, yet different, yet feel accomplished, and interact with the world? Why is it the levels?
I don't think they're going to do level cap raises, and if they do levels, I don't think they're going to do level cap raises in increments of 10.
Yeah.
Because 9 of those are just an inconvenience to get to the last.
Exactly, it's fluff. Like, I don't know if maybe leveling should be more of a social thing than a gameplay thing. Maybe it shouldn't be a mechanic. Maybe you shouldn't have to level up to be able to use that new weapon or something. But maybe leveling up could be a social thing. I'm a level 100 player. Look what all the things I've done, and you can make it fun like that. PlanSide 2 does that. I know it's on RPG, but level 100, it gives you a couple extra loadouts. That's about it. Yet people continue to play the game because the gameplay is fun, it's emergent. And even though you can't even interact with the goddamn world other than take a base, the players make the content fun and relevant, and it's constantly changing. I think that's where we might.
But I asked you about that. I said,
yeah.
But PlanetSide 2 doesn't have any PvE.
There's
content.
no PvE in an MMO, and yet people love it. FPS fans love it more than I guess non-FPS fans. But there's strategy to it. You're talking 2,000 people on a continent who three-way faction can all interact in different ways. Multiple squads being led by multiple different platoon leaders, all interacting. Black Widow Company, when we run a big thing, we run 2 platoons. That's 100 and 48 people, and we do so with efficiency. But each squad still has its own dynamic, and it's not really like a raid. We don't go into one zone and we don't tackle one mob. It's not like that. It's not a set strategy. We go into a situation. There might be Rocketeers up on a line. Like a high level, killing our tanks. We have to interact with that. We'll go pull air and we'll bomb them. They might pull anti-air. It's just back and forth, back and forth. I think you can create that in an RPG. I think you can make mobs fun like that, where they can learn from a player can learn from them, and it can be a lot more dynamic. Then you can get rid of leveling. Then you can get rid of the grind. Then you can just make it about fun social interaction. Okay, Taladar says Shuina is fluff. But without that fluff in real life, when I'm level 100, if a level 1 player kills me in Fantasy World, I'm going to burn down my house and become a nun. Okay, yes, maybe you should get some advantages. Maybe, but I don't think it should be tied to leveling. That stupid little post where it's like, on Reddit, someone was like, oh, I have all these leaks about EverQuest Next. Obviously, he has no leaks because he just takes information that we already know and kind of improvises a little bit with it. But like spell weaving, it was a cool concept. If I want a cool, powerful spell, I'm going to go work towards that. Maybe players can kind of throw me off my game a little bit while I'm trying to train up, kind of present problems to me because they don't want me to be more powerful than them. But I don't think it should be so much more powerful that everyone else kind of can't interact. It doesn't have to be PvP, though I think PvP is kind of integral to a sandbox. I think that it needs to be feared. It shouldn't be something that's regular. You shouldn't want to go out and kill somebody. But I think it kind of has to be there to foster that kind of learning environment. But I don't know. I hate that levels, that's what it's about. I don't play an MMO to play an MMO anymore. I play an MMO to reach end game to have fun. And that's not fun.
I mean, I'm a big supporter of like skill-based games and getting rid of levels altogether. But my fear is that if you make a game like purely skill-based or just like you spec into whatever tree you want, there are no levels, whatever, people come into the game and they're like, what the hell do I do in this game? Like, they just cannot handle the fact that there are not levels because they're so used to the standard approach. Like, I'm level 1, I need to get to level 50. To do that, I need to follow this path and like, the handhold.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and maybe that's a little bit off topic, but since I mentioned handholding, what do you guys feel about the quest? Personally, I miss the quest where you like read the text and it says like go west. I'm actually afraid that people cannot handle that anymore. Like, west of the lake there is a tower. I'm afraid that a lot of people will be like, wait, I open up my map and there's no area, and there's no blinking pillar of light, there's no fairy trail that I can follow, there's no, well, whatever games make up. Are you guys supporters of those type of hand-holding? Or are you guys like, well, let's just get rid of it all again and let's people figure it out? I mean, for example, what is it? The Secret World tried some pretty interesting stuff in that regard, and I think it turned out okay, although the game had some other flaws. But I mean, they even
with Secret World gave you an in-game browser. Like, you'd have to go solve riddles and stuff.
That's
literally
cool.
in Google. Like, you'd open.
Puzzles are cool.
Yeah, you would literally open up Google in-game with an in-game browser and search Google for like these weird, like, oh, I need to search Stonehenge and like figure out like why, like who built Stone, and like you'd have to put like clues together. Like, that was cool. That was something that gave you something in real world. I mean, to interact with it.
But essentially, though, you could make that yourself.
Well, I've seen on the RP server in the Secret World. That's what they did. They designed a party in some secret location, and the only way to find out the location of the secret party was to decipher what somebody had put on the internet.
That's
and
cool.
This is the players doing it, not the game. And
exactly.
That's it's if you put that type of stuff in your game, the players will mimic it and they'll try to create along with that.
Yeah, I would love. I think one of the cool things that Rift did was put in puzzles. Now, the puzzles weren't. They were cool. They were like, I think they could have been done better. But I think the puzzles were a nice little touch because it gave you something to go do. Like, you had to find them and you had to figure them out. Some of them were really just click the thing and figure out what the next button to click. Some of them were timing, but there were some that were really hard, and they were like, Like they had a shield wall one where you had to like get the shield to match the wall under it, and it took it took time to
I
figure it
remember
out.
Puzzles and Rifts. That was fun.
And I would love to
You
see
got a
that, but
tasty reward too.
yeah, you always got like, and then I remember I got server first purple gear for like my
That was
level
cool.
12 character, and I was like, yeah, just rolling around. I was like, I'm awesome.
See, that's a great way to empower a player without levels. I love
Yeah,
those server messages in EverQuest when you got your epic weapon. It's like blah blah blah. I got his epic weapon, and it makes you feel powerful.
You
Yet
know,
you don't have
I'm
an
not.
advantage.
I'm not so certain because it's been so long. It's like 6 years ago. But I think that part of my love of crafting in Vanguard was the fact that I knew that since I was at the forefront, that I was getting server first, left and right, just 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 leveling.
it's such
It's
great feeling when you get server first for anything. Like even if it's like the littlest thing, server first corn husking. Yeah,
Yeah, I
husk the
was
best corn.
no. And I never got a server first raid kill in WoW or ever. But I tell you what, in Vanguard, I had several server first discover this quests, and that was the greatest feeling in the world. Like, wow, I was the first person to discover that there is this quest right here.
Yeah, I love that. I would love to be like see something on a wall. I would love to like languages and deities to still be important in like EverQuest Next. That would be so cool to me. And like you know like the language of your deities written in, and you see something on a wall, and it's like I can decipher that. You decipher it,
cool. And you have to learn it too.
yeah, you have to learn it, and it leads you to a cave, and that cave leads you to something, and you end up getting this thing, like, even if it's just, like, something to put in your house, I don't even care if it's like, listen, look at that diamond thing that I got, look at that, I got that from solving something out in the world, it's a chalice that I can put, that constantly pours water. Like, little things like that make me
Or
want to just go,
a head
yeah,
that you get to attach to your belt. I killed
yeah,
this guy. I
yeah.
found him.
I got the guy, and I can't. I would listen. I would drink. Listen, I would drink from the chalice and like show people the head. I would be like, look at that guy. I killed him dead, and I got
Yeah.
the chalice.
No,
And it's
that's awesome.
yeah, and then you can throw in the story bricks thing, and then I can go to the pub, and then if I can anger the bar guy because my
In no
dwarf.
goddamn fight, right? Or maybe
Yeah,
the break
yeah,
because you have that
yeah.
head hanging under you.
Yeah,
right?
and then he's like, "Hey, that was my brother, and you killed my brother, and you're out." Like he just kicks you out, or you fight him and you kill him, and then you take over the bar, and then you own the bar.
But going back to the hand-holding thing, EverQuest 2 recently did a revamp with DOV kind of started it. And then as DOV went on, they added more and more of it to where the mini-map, you get a quest, it shows you exactly where to go for that quest.
POI, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, do you like it, Felden? Now that you've played with it, do you like it in EverQuest 2 as it stands right now? Or did you like it better without?
Well, I mean, the problem is you get used to it, and then you need it.
True.
And then you don't even read the quest text anymore. You're just like, toot, toot, toot. Okay, where is it? Okay, there's the blue dot. Okay, I'll go there. But then again, I've never been a big fan of quests which are just running errands or kill 10 rats. I would rather have a few elaborate quests that have a story to it. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting to read. I know it's really difficult and expensive, but
Well, maybe the rats like are lost and
I
I'll play the flute.
I actually tweeted out to Storybricks, like, I'm tired of killing rats, and they replied to me, it's like, well, there was a whole area where, like, heroes didn't kill the rats, so it wiped out the whole townsfolk. And
Well,
I was like,
cool.
and then I replied to them, what, in, like, 1720s London? Like,
That's actually pretty cool. It's like, that would actually be pretty cool. It's like, you don't have to quest and kill the 10 rats. But
if you don't kill the 10 rats, that town is screwed.
And it really is screwed in this match.
Yeah, and then
I mean, then just wait a couple of weeks and then just send in an entire like horde of players.
Everybody's killing rats.
Everyone
Everybody.
now kill rats.
Everybody, like, dude, like you usually go on Reddit. It's like who hasn't killed rats?
You know, they actually had a quest in EQ2 and Kunark. You know, they had someone you go and kill whatever, and then the trade skillers would come in behind and say, "Hey, we're here, and yeah, I've got these bags and bags of fangs from so and so. What the hell do I do with them?"
That's awesome. That's cool. I love stuff like that where they're kind of self-aware. But I completely. I like POI in a game that's not fun and not open. If you can make a quest engaging, like the epic repercussions were or the epic weapons were, if you can make it engaging, if you can make it fun, and if you can give me the proper tools to not immediately know where to go, but not get confused and disappointed as hell. Like when there's 1,000 mobs in a zone just standing around doing nothing, and you need to find that one mob that's in the middle of all the little ones, that's frustrating. Give me a
it's even
POI
worse.
then, because that.
Because the buddy that you've been trying to catch up to just killed that exact same boss or mob, and now you have to wait 5 minutes for it to spawn.
And you're killing more mobs while you wait because they're repopping too.
Yeah,
I mean, POI is cool for that. I love flying in EverQuest too because of that too. Let me bypass the crap. Let me bypass the stuff that's not fun, and let me get to it. And I think POI is kind of a band-aid for a broken mechanic like that.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as being bad. In EverQuest 1, I had fun, not because of quests. I barely quested in EverQuest 1. I was a high elf, so I leave my city, and I go out into the Greater Fader, and I just started, I ran, and I ran, and I ran, until I finally came up, I'm like avoiding high-level mobs, and I come across a race that I've never seen before. It's like a gnome, and we're two players who haven't seen another player in forever. And so I'm like, well, would you like to see where the high elves live? And he's like, yeah, I've never been. And we're role playing, and we're not even really role playing, and we're having this fun little adventure. And there's no questing involved. There's no hand holding. There's nothing. But it was fun. There's some kind of magic to that, but I don't really know how you capture that in today's world. That it's so centered on give us content, give us content, give us content. Can you go back to that 1999 kind of experience without players getting bored? There has to be an in between.
You have to make the world full of mystery. You have to make it something that you want to go in and discover yourself. And that's any world, really. I mean, any game, the world that the game is set in, other than like, like your Battlefields or your Call of Duties or your even PlanetSide. I mean, it's very beautiful, but they're like in a fantasy world. That's what fantasy worlds are. Like, what is over that hill and through that mountain? What can I discover? What is at the top of that mountain? I need to know, because there could be anything up there. There could be a sword of awesomeness up there, and I need to have that sword. And that's, we need that. That's what players love. They needed and I think we lost that. Yeah. It's just kind of like
Forge Light lets you do that too. Which is
I'm tired of I need 10 bear butts. I need you to go kill 10 bears, retrieve 10 bear butts, and bring the bear butts back to me. And you're like, okay. And then you go kill 28 bears because not every bear has a bear butt. So in my mind, I'm thinking my character's so awesome that I just completely destroy the bear butt in my killing him. I was like, I'm just so awesome. I destroyed the butt of the bear. So let me go kill another one and not do that. And then you get the 10 bear butts, and you're like, here you go. And then he's like, hey, can you go talk to Frank? He's 10 feet behind me.
He needs 20 bear butts.
You go talk to Frank. Frank's like, listen, see those bear butts? Those bear butts you got? All right. They have elder bears. All right? They're the gray ones. And we need 6 of their pelts. All right. You kill about 40 of them, and because your axe is so mighty, you shred through the pelts. You're just like, I am so awesome. I destroyed all these. Let me glue some of the pelts. And then you get your silks and you go back. He's like, I need you to go talk to Sarah. Where's Sarah? Sarah's 8 yards the other way. And she's like, hey, listen, I need you to go kill about 50 of those things all together. Just kill them and then take their bear butts. And we're going to make a stew with their bear butts.
Would you guys be advocates for mob rarity? As it is, there's tons of mobs, and that's why quests are generated around it, because that's the way to engage the player. But would you guys be okay with, I could run to a city and not see a single mob, and then I could come across this devilish monster that could kill me? That kind of adds fear, doesn't it?
That's a really good point. What I miss is running around and having this feeling, holy shit, do I see that right? Really? Is that whoa, that's Captain Sparrow. Oh, shit, let's go kill him. I want this hat.
It's because it's rare. That's what makes it fun.
Right.
That's the feeling I want back. I mean,
I love that in Vanguard there was the 4 dots that would walk around in the low level NPC areas, and they just one shot you when you were a PC. But if you got enough people together, you might be able to take it on. But if you really wanted to feel vindictive, you'd come back when you were way higher level and just kill it.
I think we've all done that. Like, just like, wait, I'm 90 now, sir.
That is one thing that's fun about it.
And my sword's on fire. Stab.
Can't have that in diminishing returns at all.
Yeah, no. Then you're like, stab, and he punches you in the face and you die. You're just like, it's not the same. So,
do you think SOE is going to take like a niche approach? If they're going to make a sandbox, if they're going to make a world, they have to go away from a lot of popular things. If not, it's not going to come out right. They can afford it, can't they? I mean, they are profitable. They are profitable.
Yeah, but wait. I mean, with EQ Next, they can niche approach?
You don't? Do you think they can? They have EverQuest 1. They have EverQuest 2. They're both popular games.
Yeah, but I mean, let's look at what's actually like bringing in money for SUE at the moment, though. The way I see it
is
PlanetSide 2 is the most profitable, and it's the most niche too.
But
it delivers one experience that no other game does, and it doesn't even do it that well, but it does it that no one else does.
They went from like what a monopoly position on MMOs to PlanetSide 2 and EverQuest 2, which is due for a follow-up, right? So if they now take the approach of let's like focus like only on like the people that have been loyal to us, only in niche market, and they like pull average like numbers, that's not going to work out. I mean, it's a huge project. It's
true.
It's I think a project that needs to score big. So like numbers of Vanguard at launch are probably not even going to do it.
True.
So while they can like put many of those aspects in, I honestly do not think that. I hope that they take that approach because I love the game design things and what that brings with it. But the only way it would work out is if they actually like market it in such a way, have such brilliant ideas that they just sell it and like people see it and they're like, wait, but that's not possible. Where like that was kind of already possible, but it like kind of rekindles how people want to play MMOs. And if they manage to do that, then the sky's the limit.
At PAX East, Dave Georgeson kind of gave that kind of philosophy to it, though. He said that we're not building EverQuest Next to be the end-all, be-all. We know that our players jump from game to game. We want to deliver a unique experience that keeps them coming back, and that a game, as long as it covers its ass, basically, if it covers its ass, it should be able to stay up. It should be able to keep its servers running, and it shouldn't stop making content. If that kind of philosophy goes throughout all of SOE Live, we might see something unique. We might not see something that's made for every single person in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know, he said it best, and it's like if they come back, then you've won. Essentially, you've won, and you know that's really what you could hope for. You get your players to come back to your game, let them go out there and see what else is out there. But they're like, you know, it's not the same. Let me go back to what is fun and what I know is fun. And I mean, clearly people are looking for something that's different. I mean, we're in a world now where something like Minecraft that didn't exist. That type of game didn't exist before. And it was 3 guys that created this game about placing blocks and building things with your imagination that all of a sudden blew up. And now you have games like you have, you know, Cube World, and you have StarMade, and you have Terraria, you have all these games, and people love it. People want to be able to build things and dive deep, and you know, you have to figure out why that worked, and you have to be able to apply it to other games because people like generating their own thing. Like, some fun for me is watching, like, Minecraft by itself is very cool. It's a fun game. I can plop down. I play on a social server, and I build my stuff, and the guy next to me builds his stuff. But then there's also the mods like Tech It and Feed the Beast, where now it's Minecraft, but it's Minecraft with user generated content. It's now Minecraft with machinery and stuff like that. It's no longer just me with an axe going into the mine. Now it's me building computers and stuff, and that's, I think that's where we're headed with these games. So, I would love to see that. I would love to see us take the game that way. I would love to see EverQuest take. I would love to see them say, hey, listen, let's have. I would like to build my house, and then Tanlin build his house next to my house, and it physically be in that world, and and then Cal to come over and like physically walk into my house and be like, hello. and help sit down in my house and help himself to like some ale that is sitting out on the table. I would love to see that happen.
But
Well, SOE is absolutely aware of Minecraft. They know it's out there. There's people at SOE that play it, who see the strength of it. They see the interest in it. Yeah, I think Next will definitely have some of those ideas, or at least the philosophy of it, of build anything.
Yeah, definitely. What's going to piss people off is I want a PvP server, so I can actually live in the world where Vladis is pissing me off, and so I light Calbur's house on fire, it catches onto Tanlin's house, and I burn down all three of you guys, and then I can laugh, and you guys can hunt me down across this world, but you better be able to catch me because my Thieves Guild is going to keep me safe underground and hidden. That's what I want. You can make me a quest mob. If you can make a player a quest mob, you have the most amazing experience possible. People knock PvP because it's too challenging, blah, blah, blah. That's because it's focused around competition. PvP should be focused around actually engaging with other players. If you don't like a player, beat them up. You don't have to kill them. They don't have to die and lose their stuff. Maybe you get in a fist fight and engage, and that's something that should be able to happen. But anyways, that's for next time.
So no, hang on. You're not allowed to kill players, but you're allowed to
You
set my
can
house
kill.
on fire?
Well, no, you can kill me if
Wait,
you
but
want.
how
Bring it
does
on.
that make sense? My house!
Now I have a question. Let's take it one step further. Let's say that Tanlin, myself, and Cal are all part of this like one faction. Let's say if we go to that faction and are like,
the faction should hate me.
yeah, the
If they
faction
should,
hates you, and then like, are we like, there's like,
that's how
like there's like a wanted board, and your name's on the wanted board, and everybody that's high end with that faction has the right to kill you. I would love that.
Your faction has
That'd be great.
connection with allied factions that are NPCs, and those NPCs automatically KOS me too. All because of this. That's how you can limit PvP. That's how you can limit things in a sandbox and keep it.
Bro, you shouldn't have burned down our houses at that point.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If you punish a player like that, it's not so inherent, but it just challenges them to a point where they're not going to want to do it without punishing them. There's a difference between punishment and challenge. I could, if I want to, be a rogue and kill people. But if it's going to excommunicate me from the world and excommunicate me to live and kind of breathe, what if I have to gather my own food and stuff? What if EverQuest Next requires food, water, sleep, and I'm sleeping in the rain or something, and that negatively affects my gameplay? I don't think it will, that it'll go that far. But it's a possibility, and that's a way to kind of keep trolls and keep PvP in line. That I don't think a lot of people hear PvP and they just instantly kind of put it in that group of what PvP is today. And I don't think PvP today is anything that is fun. I don't know. It's not. There's a difference between competition and open world PvP. And a lot of people don't really see open world PvP like they should.
I love PvP.
PvP is fun. I love PvP too, but
I will tell you the parts of PvP that I do like, and that is in World of Warcraft on the PvP servers, and especially the roleplay servers, where you have groups that have some sort of theme about them. That they look for the conflict not with other players but other groups. So you have maybe these 10 people will take on these 10 people, or maybe this other 20 will take on this 10, but this other 10 are really good, so they don't feel like they're being overwhelmed. I do not like it when you're ganking, when you're just straight up but I'm not going to make any judgments. That's for another show.
NPCs can kind of regulate that a little bit. If an NPC can be hired by your faction to patrol your streets and stuff like that, then that player killer, there is no ganking. You can have a world where PvP is possible without it being what happens.
Right.
Mugging.
Right. Right. It's mugging. And then the other PvP that I really like, and I would actually like EQ Next to stay away from it, is the really high end competitive PvP. And the reason why I don't want to see that into EQ Next is because at the very high end, you really have to worry about class balancing. Like really have. And when you have to worry about class balancing, you end up with class homogenization, where this class has a stun, but then this class has a stun, then this class has a stun, because it's the only way to make them comparable. Because players competitively, they will find those classes, and they'll be like, this class has this that can be not exploited, but it can be used to better efficiency. And that's my small PvP soapbox. I
We're
really
gonna
love
have to
it.
have. We should have try and get some. I'd love to get like a PvP developer of any kind of game on here to kind of discuss how they go about it and how it kind of infringes upon their right to be creative in other ways. That would be cool. We should have a show topic for that later in the year. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna end the QA for me. I'm tired. Are you guys tired? Kyle's. I don't know how he's awake.
I don't know.
Count. Yeah.
I like the QA though. Do you guys like the QA? Chat, do you guys like the QA? We're
Well,
looking at
there's
the
still
show to be a little more
77 people
restrictive.
here, so
They must like it, right?
I think people are enjoying themselves, so that's good. I'm actually tempted to start streaming, but I should probably get some sleep.
Oh, everyone follow us on Twitch. It looks good for us. If we get enough followers, we can eventually maybe get a partnership. We can stream in 1080, and then everyone can have their streams the way they want it to. We don't want to make money off of this or anything like that. We just want, but the more followers, the better. Yeah, and
Meaning we need to get about 400 average viewers per show and about 2,000 followers. That's pretty much the standard these days.
We can do it. No,
I totally had my mic mute right there.
Anyone who wants to join us on a show, I think we could honestly have different guests on for QA session 2. Maybe we could open up to 6 people. I'm totally welcome with that. So you guys can email us at evercast.show@gmail.com. We have that available. You can hit us up on Twitter. Let us know you're interested in joining us for the show. If you'd like to join us for the real segmented show, that's fine. We do kind of ask that you sort of have a unique perspective in a way, because the 4 of us are going to be here all the time. You're going to hear the same shit all the time. So the more unique the guests can be, the more kind of unique perspective they have. It just keeps things a little more open, lets us explore more possibilities. But the QA time, like right now, this 3 hours, 2 hours we've been talking after the show, whatever, anyone could join that. I think that would be awesome. So hit us up on EverCast Gmail. Once again, I'll type it in chat. That's evercast.show@gmail.com. Let us know you're interested. I'll get back to you ASAP, and we'll arrange something. It'd be cool. Remember, bi-weekly shows, so thank you all for coming in. And once again, Feldon, thank you for popping in.
Yeah, thank you,
love to have
Feldon.
you again. You're welcome
Thanks
to join
for
us
having me on.
next week. And let's try and get some developers on here too eventually. I know we need to work on our formatting a little bit for that, but
yeah, we have to iron out those wrinkles.
I thought it was fantastic for a first show. You know, it's very difficult to do technically, and you guys pulled it off.
Awesome. All right.
Awkward silence. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Night, everybody. Thanks.
Good night, everybody. See you guys August 2nd. EverCast. EverQuest next. It's